What's going on, everyone? The sports speculator here. I always feel like I go days at a time. I feel like I'm abandoning the channel. So it always feels so good to be back. Thursday is Chiefs and Broncos tonight, and that's I'll be flipping back and forth. I'll watch that maybe on the big TV, and then have Astros Yankees on the iPad. I expect the Chiefs to win. If they don't, time to hit the panic button. I think in Kansas City, coming from a Chiefs fan, I know the AFC is weak, but that defense is atrocious. Honestly, terrible. Um, Man, if they can't hold the ball and score, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. The offense has not really been clicking. I mean, they scored enough points to win against the Texans. The Colts game was, abysmal. So maybe Mahomes is hurt and stuff. But man, if that defense can't, if they can't pressure Flacco, if they let them just run the ball up and down the field, and Mahomes gets 4 or 5 possessions for the whole game, they're gonna lose. And at that point, three in a row, I think heads are going to start to roll, honestly. And as a Chiefs fan, I fully expect that, honestly. Yeah, defense has always been this team's Achilles heel. It always has and always will hold the team back if the defense isn't good. So I predict the Chiefs to win. I think the offense is too good, and I think the defense is just good enough. But man, if the Broncos have like over 200 rushing yards, I mean they're gonna lose. The Chiefs will lose, and it'll be an ugly day in Kansas City, that's for sure. Um, Houston, New York Yankees. We had some bad weather the other day. Um, who would you have? Grinky against Tanaka. That's a fantastic pitching matchup. I mean, the Astros lineup is just so good. Um, they're the best team in baseball, in my opinion. So, but be that as of May, I think the Yankees are just going to squeak this one out. Um, I think they're going to light up Grinky, and it'll be over by about the fourth inning, third or fourth inning. That's just I'm going out on the ledge and just saying that the Bronx Bombers light it up. That's what I think. I think the Astros. I want the Yankees to win the series because if it, as a unbiased Nationals fan, you know what I mean. I'd rather play the Yankees than play the Astros, but I think I'll we'll call it game by game. But I'm taking the Yankees in this one. MMA. There's a fight tomorrow. I believe it is Weidman and Reyes. The Weidman Reyes card. Let's see here. Let me just make sure. But we'll go through the card anyway. I'm rooting for Weidman. I think that'll be great if he wins. I believe this is his first fight jumping up divisions. Let's see. Well, no, man. Sometimes you just get lost in the ESPN menus. You just got to go right to the UFC. Tomorrow, 9 p.m., TD Garden. Is that in Boston? Dominic Reyes, Chris Weidman in the light heavyweight. Yair Rodriguez, Jeremy Stevens. Man, I really love Jeremy Stevens. Just throws down. So I'm hoping for a Weidman Stevens, Greg Hardy, Sasoli. Those are like the three ones that I know of, and I hope Hardy gets KO'd. That would be great. So that's coming up, and that's exciting. What else is happening? We're getting down towards. Let's see. Let's just preview the NFL. Let's look ahead and see where the games are at since we're at the start of the. What week is this? 7. Already in week 7. Jeez. Almost halfway through the season. Chiefs, Broncos. Taking the Chiefs. Oh, we got to win. Rams, Falcons, Rams. The Falcons, my goodness, bottom 5 in the league for sure. Falcons, Bengals, um, Cardinals. Although the Cardinals are scrappy, and the Dolphins and the Redskins. Those are the worst teams, I think. Miami, Buffalo. I'm gonna give it to Miami. You know, if Fitzmagic is coming back, and I'm not really sold on Buffalo. So I'm going to take Miami in that one. Jacksonville, Cincinnati. I'll go Jacksonville on that one just because Cincinnati, again, just another team, just dreadful. The defense is so bad. I mean, what do you do, kind of, if you're Cincinnati and you have, I don't know what Andy Dalton's contract situation looks like, but what's really changed, roster wise, um, to when they were in the wild card games losing to the Texans to now where they look like one of the worst teams in the league. What's happened? I guess teams just around them are getting better, but even if they kind of teams were getting better and they're kind of staying the same, I mean they shouldn't be this bad. Regardless, Minnesota Detroit. That's going to be a very good game. Um, I'm going to go Detroit. Detroit has played the Chiefs very well, the Packers very well. I don't really believe in Minnesota. Um, but I think they'll kind of be vying for a wild card team. I just don't have any faith in Cousins, is what it comes down to. So I'll take Detroit. Plus, I think they're pumped up off of that game they should have won in Green Bay, and it's at home, so at Ford. Oakland at Green Bay. I'm taking the Packers. Houston at Indy. I'm going to take Indy in an upset. I know the Texans are rolling and they can just kind of further extend their lead in the AFC South, but I think the Colts are a good team, and I think Jacoby Brissett is manageable, and you get some pressure on Deshaun, he might throw some picks. The offense is pretty good for Indy, so I'm going to take them in an upset. Arizona, New York. I mean, this two teams that aren't very good. It's an interesting matchup just because of the draft pick prospects are now starting and playing, and you get to see every single drive is okay, how good is Jones going to look? How good is Murray going to look? So this game actually, would be watchable. Maybe, I don't know. Who's going to win? I think Murray. I think Murray's going to win. San Francisco, Washington. Washington is. They're not the worst team in the league. Miami is the worst team in the league. And then Cincinnati. But I would put Washington third worst. Atlanta, fourth worst. See, the Jets, asterisks by the Jets because Darnold has been. He was hurt, 3 or 4 games? And then when he comes back, they beat the Cowboys. So I think the Jets are like a couple years away from actually being pretty good. And maybe they're there now. They just have to build that chemistry. So they are record wise, but I don't think they're that bad. Chargers, Titans. I mean, the Titans are rolling with Ryan Tannehill. That's all you need to know. Take the Chargers. New Orleans, Chicago. This is going to be a great game. Um, Man, it's in Chicago. It's starting to get colder. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem because Teddy B played outdoors in Minnesota. When they're building the new Minnesota Stadium, they played where the Golden Gophers play when he was starting for the Vikings. So I don't think that really matters. I'm gonna go Chicago just because the defense is so good, and I feel like they're gonna have one kind of speed bump before Breeze gets back. Baltimore, Seattle. This is the game that's gonna come on my TV, living in the DC, Virginia, DC, Maryland area. Uh, Baltimore, Seattle, fantastic game. Um, wow, what a pick 'em. You know what I mean? But I can't go against Russell Wilson. I think he's the MVP of the league. I think he's going to win MVP. I say they squeak it out. Um, and then Philly, Dallas is our late game. Ooh, very excellent game. Who wins that one? Philly, Dallas, right? Dallas is coming off a loss against the Jets. Philly has kind of like saved their season. And I know they lost to the Vikings, but that Packers win, I mean, if you look at it, man, that loss to the Falcons is looking bad. That's a bad loss when you look at that in retrospect. But if they wouldn't have beat the Packers, loss, they'd be they'd only have 2 wins against the Jets and the Redskins, and that's a Sam Darnold list Jets team. So, like I was saying before, that's a grain of salt there. Um, Cowboys. I'm just looking ahead, kind of. They have a pretty brutal schedule. The Cowboys, Bills. I mean, Bills are scrappy. I don't think they're a great team, but you definitely could lose to the Bills. Um, and it's in Buffalo. And then Bears, Patriots, Seahawks. They get a little bit of a break against the Dolphins. Giants could like be bubbling, and they could at least be like having Saquon back and Daniel Jones. It might be have some good games under his belt at that point. I mean, that could be an interesting game. And then they get another break with the Redskins, and then they go Cowboys Giants the last 2 games of the year. So, man, I don't see them making the playoffs. I'm going to take Dallas. I'm taking Dallas in this one. It's in Arlington, so if they lose, everyone's going to just be like up in arms. They've lost 3 in a row, so I expect them to kind of right the ship here. 4 in a row would be, man, 3 and 4 after beating Giants, Redskins, Dolphins, and those are another. And then they play Saints, Packers, Darnold, and the Jets. So you know they've been losing. They've beaten nobodies, and they've lost to good teams. The Jets. Let's kind of I put the Jets and the Browns kind of in that same category where they're not terrible, but they're not really that good either. But they could beat you. Throw the Titans in there too. There's a lot of teams probably in that category. But those are just the ones that, off the top of my mind, come out. Eagles, Giants, Vikings, Lions, Patriots, Bills, Bears, Rams, Eagles, Redskins. Brutal, brutal schedule. I mean, it's going to come down to who's got the better record against the NFC North. Who can beat the Packers? Who can beat the Vikings? Who can beat the Lions? Who can beat the Bears? Those 4 games, because I mean they're both going to lose to the Patriots. They both might beat the Bills. Really, the only difference is the Cowboys play the Rams. I mean, but the Eagles play the Seahawks. So, you know, very even schedules. That's going to be an interesting race for the NFC East. Um, and then the Monday night game is the Patriots against the Jets. This is going to be a nothing game. Even with Darnold back, Patriots are going to win. The game's going to be over by halftime. And then bye weeks, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Tampa, Carolina. Probably the only team that suffers from this bye is Carolina. They have a lot of momentum and they probably want to keep playing every week. The other 3 teams, need to do some regrouping and maybe, get healthy. So it's good for those teams. What else? I'll talk about soccer and stuff this weekend. I'll do that in another dedicated video because this weekend it's a playoff time. Man, I feel like it's been like 2 weeks or so since any MLS action has even happened. But this week we have the first round of the MLS playoffs. What's going on in the Champions League? That's a Tuesday Wednesday type of deal, but they've only played their third of the way through the group stage. Every team has played 2 games, so there's a lot of separation already. And then some stages, Group D, everyone's kind of pretty close. Group E, everyone's pretty close. So we're not there yet to kind of to see who's gonna like advance, but I'll touch on that later in another soccer video. So I'll stop from here. Thank you so much. If you have made it this far, hit like and subscribe if you like. Leave a comment if you wish, and I'll talk to you later.